Jackie for letting us. All right, well, welcome everyone to the 2022 candidate forums for Wake County Wake County Board of Education, hosted by the Wake PTA Advocacy Council, the Wake Education Partnership, and the Raleigh Chamber. I'm Keith Poston, president of Wake Education Partnership. We were delighted that you are taking some time, if you're a voter especially, to learn about these really important races that are on the ballot in November. On behalf of the hosting organizations, welcome and thank you to the candidates. We invited every candidate who is on the ballot, and we got a really high percentage of people saying yes, which is great because that doesn't always happen. So thank you to the candidates. Before we launch into our questions that were submitted by the public, I want to share with you a little bit about our organizations that are hosting. The PTA, probably everybody's familiar with that name, is the nation's oldest child advocacy organization in the country, and they are the reason that our schools have things like hot lunches, and they have things like child labor law. So they've been an important advocacy group, and here in Wake County certainly have been a critical player in keeping parents and families engaged in their local public schools. Wake Education Partnership, we're a nonprofit organization backed mostly by businesses and foundations. We've been around almost 40 years, and our sole focus is on engaging and supporting the Wake County Public Schools to help both the teachers, the students, and families get everything they can get out of their school system. And then last but certainly not least, the Raleigh Chamber. Andrew there. Andrew, the Raleigh Chamber is a membership-based business organization here in Raleigh, and I like to say that they're certainly one of the key players in this booming economic engine that is Raleigh and Wake County. So they're important, and we appreciate them being part of this. Just for everyone who's watching and for our two candidates, all of our organizations are 501c3. That's a tax code, but we're nonprofit organizations, which means we cannot support and do not support candidates or political parties. Now, however, we do take positions on certain issues, such as like when the Wake PTA takes a position based on national PTA initiatives. And you'll hear from Andrew in a minute. We take positions on things like the Wake County school bond, which is something that our organization supports. So we're going to start here in just a second. All the questions came from the public. Thank you, because we didn't have to come up with them ourselves, and none of the candidates have seen them in advance. And we really, again, appreciate you guys who are tuning in to listen to these, because these are critical. And you're ahead of the game because you actually are taking the time to hear from the candidates before you vote in November. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Andrew, who's going to do some shameless plugging for the Wake School Bond.
Thanks, Keith. And that's right. I'm here representing Friends of Wake County, which is a community organization advocating on behalf of a yes vote for the schools bond this November. This bond is phase 2 out of a 3-part series to build new schools and modernize their existing schools because of this amazing growth we've seen in our area. This $530.7 million bond is going to include construction of 4 new schools, complete renovation of several others, along with some really important updates for the rest of our facilities. Security is top of mind, along with other infrastructure, heating and cooling, shared learning spaces, things of that nature. As the State General Assembly doesn't fund facilities for our public schools, it's really up to the people of Wake County to make sure that we've got the best teaching and learning environments for our teachers and our children. And because of the amazing financial health of the county, this bond is the cheapest and best way to make that happen. So with that, thank you all very much for being here. And I'm going to turn things over to today's moderator, Teresa.
Thank you, Andrew. Good morning. My name is Teresa Jones, and I'm the president of Wake PTA Council. I've had one child who's gone through Wake County public school system, already graduated and off to college, and I have 2 seniors this year. Yes, I did have 3 kids very close together, but still managed to make time to be in the PTA and to be an advocate for our kids and public school system. I welcome you to our candidate forum. After hearing remarks by those running for office, the forum will open for questions. Each candidate will have the opportunity to share a 3-minute opening, followed by 3 questions with 3 minutes to respond to each. At the conclusion of questioning, you will also get 1 minute for a closing statement. So I'm going to hold up a 30-second yellow card and a time's up red card to try to keep us on track and keep the timing fair. At the end of the forum, the discussion may informally continue outside of this space. If your question does not get asked, please use this opportunity to approach a candidate via their email. All right, we are going to start our opening. We'll start with Jackie, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Teresa, Keith, those of you who have put together this forum for us today and giving us an opportunity to share the passion of why we are running for the school board. I, as a child, attended public school and graduated with a great education, had no trouble getting into college. And as a result, I am an educator. I've been an instrumental music teacher for the past 40 years. And I've had the opportunity to start many band programs across Wake County. And that's been a really awesome thing to do. My grandson is 7.5. Well, actually, he's going to be 8 next week. He's on the spectrum, and so he has an IEP, and he attends Adams Elementary, where I really I credit his teachers and the instructional assistants with where he is today in the different areas that he has been able to accomplish and grow. As I've had the opportunity to be a part of his educational process, as well as my granddaughter who just graduated, and I had to, help her with some of the classes she failed during the pandemic situation. It has presented itself in such a way that I really felt pressed to be a part of the educational system through the school board for all the children in Wake County public school system. Feel like we're missing a lot of opportunities with our young people. And this is what pushes me and drives me to be a part of seeking the Board of Education. I feel that there are definite areas that we need to improve upon. There are issues within, I think, our curriculum that need to be improved upon. And I believe that there are even just the academic excellence, not so much because of our teachers. I think our teachers are very dedicated and our teachers are working very hard, and I support them 100%. But I feel like sometimes the resources that are available to them just are not what they should be, and that we need to, as a school board, work harder at providing the resources that our teachers need to be able to do their job effectively for all the students in Wake County. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Lynn, you will now have 3 minutes for your opening statement.
Sorry, I'm muted because I've got dogs in here. Thank you so much. My name is Lynn Edmonds, and I am the mother of 2 Wake County public school graduates. They went K-12 through WCPSS, and I myself am a product of Durham Public Schools, and I am very passionate about public education, which is one of the reasons that I am running for this seat in District 5. As my kids went through the school system, I was very active in their PTAs, and I was invited to participate on some more district level committees, such as the District 4 Board Advisory Council when Rosa Gill was still a school board member. She's now in the House of Representatives. And then I also joined the District 5 BAC, and I still am on that BAC, even though our children have graduated out of the system. And that's because I really enjoy the work of understanding education policy, and I am interested in Wake County public school system still, continuing to thrive and being successful and being the top choice for families. And because I enjoy being engaged in that work, even though our children have graduated, is another reason that I'm seeking to be the next District 5 representative. In my professional work, I'm the outreach director for Public Schools First NC. And that means that I have a good understanding of the relationship between the legislature and DPI and how decisions made at the state level, whether it's funding or policy, how that impacts our local school districts. And I think that is a strong qualification for me to serve on the school board. I'm a member of the Wake County Library Commission. And I joined that commission because of the important relationship between early literacy and student success. And I enjoy being involved in my community and public service. So I sought that position out and am still on the Library Commission and plan to stay even if elected. So I really enjoy that work. My campaign is focused on 4 areas: equity, school safety, curriculum integrity and the freedom to read, and then finally our staffing shortages. All of those things that they're not weighted, although I do think our staffing shortages have to be one of the first things that we tackle, because unless we address our staffing shortages, whether it's teachers or bus drivers or CNS workers, we're not going to help students succeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, I am going to ask the first question, and the first question is going to Lynn. Lynn, how have you shown support to teachers in your volunteer work, time as a parent, or professional activities?
Advocating for the resources they need. I mean, there's person-to-person support. So I served as a room parent many times. I served on other PTA committees that supported teachers. My favorite was working in the media center at all of my children's schools. And I've supported teachers, through booster clubs, things of that nature. But maybe not so tangible, but I trust teachers and try to communicate that to them and be an advocate for them. I trust their professionalism. I trust the training that they have with regard to like classroom management and things like that. And in my professional work, advocating at the state level for better resources for them to have what they need to be successful.
Thank you. Okay, Jackie, I'll repeat the question for you. How have you shown support to teachers in your volunteer work, time as a parent, or professional activities?
Thank you. That's a great question. And I love the fact that I have had the privilege, even as a working parent, to be able to be involved not only in my son's classrooms when he was in school, and to be involved in my grandchildren's classrooms as they have come along. I started volunteering in the classroom with my son. I was doing math superstar programs as an extra curriculum thing for the students. We were doing the Pizza Hut reading program, which was always so amazing, getting the kids to read a certain amount of books, and then they'd be able to go get their Pizza Hut pizza every month. And so that was a really, really fun program. And I don't know if that program is still available. I know that I don't really see that as much today. So it's something I'd really like to investigate. So that's some things I did with my son. I was involved in some of the schools where I taught with the safety patrol program and working with the children and helping them to be able to be successful, standing out in the parking lot with the moving cars and helping kids get in and out of their cars. And then most recently, and I've also been a member of the PTA throughout these timeframes as well. But most recently, working in my granddaughter's classroom, would help the students again with math, with reading, and helping the students that were struggling get to a point where they were doing better. I'm actually waiting right now through the Wake County Public School System to be approved as a volunteer. I got approved right before COVID, and then COVID happened, and then the process has changed a little bit. So, I've gone into the school office, I have applied, I got this big email, I did the email thing, and now I'm just waiting and waiting. So soon, hopefully soon, I will hear. But it has definitely been an honor to work with the teachers and be able to spend time with students who are struggling, and just to even spend time with the students who, you know, aren't struggling, but giving them some extra curricular type things to do to enhance their time reading outside of the classroom and doing math.
Thank you. Okay, question number 2. And Jackie, you're going to go first on this one. How do you plan to address the issue of equity in education and the disparities that exist within our school district related to race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status? Would you like me to read it again? Oh, Jackie, you're muted.
Sorry. That'd be great if you do that one more. Read
Yep.
that one more time, please.
How do you plan to address the issue of equity in education and the disparities that exist within our school district related to race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status?
Thank you. That is definitely an ongoing issue. I know for a fact that equity is a very important aspect of Wake County Public School strategic plan. And they even just recently voted this past week, I believe, on a whole new framework, with equity being a very important aspect of the strategic plan. And equity has a lot of different facets to it. You know, a lot of times equity is looking at equitable resources, but when we have students who are underprivileged, whether it be socioeconomic issues or just location, we're missing the boat right now in Wake County Public Schools. When you look at the end of grade and end of course for 2021, it was 88% of Black students and ESL students who were not proficient in Math 1. And so, you know, our present board has been working on these equity issues for quite some time, and yet we're not making improvements. So I would like to see resources possibly diverted from areas that maybe aren't necessary to get them in place for the students who need more help. Another inequity has to do with the ability for parents to be able to get tutoring for their children who are struggling. I know that my son and honestly, if it had just been my son as a single parent, he would have not been able to pay tutoring for his daughter. We began in the 4th grade with an outside tutoring program that I paid for my son, for my granddaughter, and she was in that program for 5 years because she never was able to pass her end of course, her end of grade tests. And thank goodness, as a result of that 5 years, when she got on into high school, except for that COVID experience where she flunked Math 3 and biology, you know, she had gotten the ability to get her reading and reading comprehension issues. So an inequitable situation is that you have parents who cannot afford tutoring. So we as a public school system need to come up with a way and take resources and put them where they are most needed, instead of them being in areas that are not as important. And the most important thing is that our children are getting a sound basic education so that they can be successful in society. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Lynn, to you, how do you plan to address the issue of equity in education and the disparities that exist within our school district related to race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status?
Thanks. So Jackie referred to the new strategic plan that has a huge focus on equity. And that was one of the changes that the current school board made to the former strategic plan. Developing this new one was to make sure that equity was at its core. And I support that work, and I support the new strategic plan. And If it hasn't been, adopted by the time the elections occur, I support every draft that I've seen of it, of the new, strategic plan, and would look to that as our guiding light, if you will, to address these issues. I also support our Office of Equity Affairs and see them as the right department and the right professionals to help make sure that our policy decisions at the board table have an equity focus, and help us with our budget process, which is something that'll take place soon after new board members are sworn in. The budget process will start for next year's budget, and we need to make sure that equity is at the center of those budget decisions, making sure that students across the district have the resources they need to be successful. And it's not the same across the district. Some of our schools are a better resource than others just because of the parent base. I love the whole child approach, and would make policy decisions thinking of the whole child. So which addresses equity in the sense that, whatever resources the school system can provide to help children be successful, even if some of those resources are outside. For example, with our helping professionals, social workers and school counselors can sometimes help families get the resources they need so that their children come to school better prepared to learn. But all of that between the strategic plan and they're also, I know they're in development of a new equity policy. And if that work is not completed, I would seek to make sure that we secure a new equity policy as well. And then again, looking to the Office of Equity Affairs and making sure that they've got the resources they need to help guide our work and provide us, with the information we need to make things more equitable across the district.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, question 3. And Lynn, you're going to answer this one first. How would you evaluate and measure the effectiveness of schools beyond achievement-based evaluations, such as student performance on standardized tests in your district? Would you like me to repeat that? Are you good?
I think I'm good. So beyond academic scores, how would I measure success? Is that the gist of the question? So I would look to things like, is our graduation rate going up? Are our school suspensions and discipline interactions going down? Is our dropout rate decreasing? I think there's multiple, and you also have to look at, how successful are students once they leave us? Is that improving? So once they graduate out of our system, how is that working? And I think I support a lot of the programs we have to reach kids when they are struggling. One example comes to mind. We have something called Score Academy. And that's for, our older students who might be struggling in a traditional school setting. Score Academy is a great resource that we have, and there's several locations across the district to try to nurture those kids through and help them be successful as they move toward graduation. So I don't know. I actually just lost my train of thought. I was going to add another point, but I'll just leave it at that. Sorry.
No problem. It's Friday. We understand. Thank you. Okay. All right, Jackie, I'll repeat the question for you. How would you evaluate and measure the effectiveness of schools beyond achievement-based evaluations, such as student performance on standardized tests in your district?
Thank you. It is kind of interesting. The thing that concerns me at this particular point, referencing the fact, graduation rates going up. I mean, that's definitely a way to measure the success of our students. However, what's been happening in the Wake County public school system right now is we have graduation rates going up, but we have scores going down. We have had less than 50% of our students in Math 3 proficient when they take end of course testing. English 1, we have 40 to 50% not proficient, and yet we are graduating them. Less than 50% of our graduating students are college ready, and students spend an average of 1 year catching up when they get into college, and that's a waste of money for them. Now, we do have schools here in Raleigh or in Wake County where we do, as a public school system, we have a relationship, I guess, relationships with Wake Tech. And I'm not sure if we have them with other schools, but I know for sure with Wake Tech, where we have these early college opportunities for the students where they can actually be taking classes, especially during their senior year, and they can be getting credit for college courses, which happens to help them. I know over at Vernon Malone, they have an awesome technical career package, whether it's in welding, in medical, they have just an amazing facility over there. So we cannot just measure it by the graduation rate going up. We can't be proud of our graduation rate when our students are not ready to be successful in college, nor are they ready to be successful in this world. One of the things my granddaughter said to me three months before she graduated, she's like, Mima, why didn't they teach us like just, things that will help us once we get out of school, like how to open a bank account, how to, rent an apartment, how to, just those practical things that really, parents aren't always teaching their kids. They're just kind of assuming they are learning them. So beyond academic scores, we really need to be looking at the whole child. We need to be looking at what we need to do as a school system to help them be successful. And again, I think that goes back to a sound, basic education. If our students cannot read and they cannot understand and comprehend what they've read, if they cannot do simple math, then we as a school system are failing. And that is why I'm running, because we're failing and I want to see that change. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Go ahead and leave your mic on because I'm going to give you, you get to close us out. You get 1 minute. I can't hear you. I think it says you're not muted, but I can't hear you. There you go.
Yeah, I missed the beginning of your statement because I couldn't
Oh,
hear
I'm sorry.
you.
I'm sorry. We're going to start our closing statements now, and you're going to go first, and you get 1 minute.
Okay. Thank you. Technical difficulties in this virtual world, but once again, I could no longer sit on my couch and watch what was happening, or what I felt like was happening in the Wake County public school systems. And it's not just me. I have knocked on so many doors in the past 6 months. And it is, I have parent after parent, even parents who said, my child graduated and they were flunking English. My child knew they weren't prepared, and yet they were graduated. I had a child who wanted to repeat the 12th grade and they would not allow them. Jackie Boegel for Wake County Public Schools District 5. My website, Jackie Boegel for Wake BOE. You can go to my website and reach out to me, but I am running to make Wake County Public Schools a better place for all children, all teachers, all families in Wake County Public School.
Thank you, Jackie. Lynn, you have 1 minute for a closing statement.
Thank you. I was trying to set my timer, but so with my minute, I'll invite people to please go to my website, lynnforwake.com, and look at my, you can get a fuller understanding of those 4 focus areas I talked about. And please see my endorsements. A few of those I've been endorsed by Equality NC, Wake NCAE, Everytown for Gun Safety, and the Network for Public Education. I've also been endorsed by the current school board member, Dr. Jim Martin. And I'd like for voters to know that I want to serve on the board to be a champion for our students, to be a champion for this public school district and public schools and our teachers, and to put students first. And I am really excited to do the work. I am prepared to do the work, and I ask for the votes of the voters in District 5. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us and share your views or your ideas with our viewers and voters. I would like to mention that we did invite all the candidates from your district, and the other folks running did not show up or were not able to attend. So thank you again for sharing your policy positions. As you know, it's an important part of helping to reach voters, and this forum will be posted on our YouTube channel along with all the other districts in our county. Let's see, I have some stuff about early voting to share with everyone. We want to remind you that early voting begins October 20th and runs through November 5th. We encourage you to go to vote early, not only because of timing flexibility and shorter lines, but also because you can go to any early voting site. And if you need to update your voter registration, you can do so there. If you would like to request an absentee ballot, you can find those forms on the Wake County Board of Elections website. It must be received by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, November 1st. Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th. And if you're not planning to register at early voting, the last day to register to vote in this election is October 15th. I'd like to thank our partners in presenting these forums, Wake Ed Partnership and the Raleigh Chamber. And I'd especially like to thank our advocacy committee who put a lot of work into gathering everyone together and arranging schedules to be able to conduct these forums. Advocacy truly is the heart of PTA, and we thank you, the candidates, for your time as we work together to advocate for all children.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, Jackie.